we're joined by Ronnie Vitulli, if I'm pronouncing it right.
That's good.
Okay, Vitulli, who is running for Precinct 2 Commissioner's Court in the primary, and I think the election for the primary is on March 1st.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
So we're really thankful he came on Think Brazos today, and wanted to start with a little bit about yourself, whatever you want to talk about, background. I know you were the mayor of Kurten.
Correct.
Which was interesting to me because I didn't know they had a mayor. And so I definitely want to talk to you about that today and how that went down. But yeah, so who are you?
Yeah, so I've been living in Brazos County on a family farm. I've been living there for 25 years, but it's been in our family for 140 years. So I'm a fourth generation living there, and I got two other generations behind me right now living there. So six generations on the same property.
That's cool.
So I love. I live in the Kurten area. I live in Kurten, and I love Kurten, and I love Brazos County, and so that's one of the things that kind of brought me to where I am today. Is I want to. There's some things I think Brazos County we need some help on, and I think I have the skill set, both through my being a city councilman in Kurten and then being mayor there for 10 years. Plus, I currently work at Texas A&M as a project manager.
Okay.
So one of the things on project management is you have to get a lot of different stakeholders together.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I think I can bring to the commissioner's court is. The county has to deal with a lot of different, different organizations, federal government, state government. So, I think I have the skill set and the experience that's going to be required to do this right.
So, were you involved with the incorporation process? Like, were you part of that group that decided Kurten needs to incorporate, or did you come along afterwards?
I was part of that group, but we had a couple of guys that were kind of leading that effort.
Okay.
But I was in, the first year of our incorporation. I was on city council, and that's another perspective that I have. I've seen how a municipality how it starts from the ground up.
Yeah, that's
and there's
interesting.
a lot of things that the people wouldn't think about, like getting a tax base and how does that work, and we've gone through a lot of changes, and I was fortunate enough to lead in most of those through my 10 years as mayor, and even when I was on city council.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually, because you think about how few people in Texas today get to play a part in the incorporation of a city, because most of them happened 150 years ago. So that's some interesting stuff. Why did you decide to make that jump as far as the incorporation? Well, or why did you as a community, I guess?
One of the things in the rural area of the county that the county just has no jurisdiction for, and also for that matter the state, is how land use is going to be done.
Okay.
And so for the community of Kurten, we voted to incorporate to help steer us in the direction that the citizens of that area wanted to do. So that was the main focus at that point, was to help with that, how growth was going to happen in Kurten.
Because there's very few regulations in the county related to building a house or a business. Is that what you're
correct?
Doing?
Yeah, there actually are none. The only thing that the jurisdiction that the county has is in the subdivision platting process,
like lot size, things like
correct.
that.
And that's, other than that, that's about it.
Okay. So what was the beef?
Well, there was a developer that had purchased a large tract of land somewhere in the 100 to 110 acre, and his intent was to go and be put 1 acre lots in that 110 acre, and basically it was going to gear towards the mobile home park area.
In Kurten, or in what is Kurten?
That's correct. What it's in Kurten now.
Oh, okay. And so the citizens, including yourself, didn't like that idea.
Yeah, it wasn't geared towards, we don't necessarily want mobile homes or mobile home parks in our area. The issue that comes with that is when you have that kind of density, and there's no infrastructure for that.
So scale was kind of the issue.
Yeah, when you and of course in the county we have no water waste treatment plants available to us, and so all these any home or mobile home that's put on in county property has to use, which typically is always an aerobic system. So that density can become a health issue too if things aren't maintained correctly.
Oh, I see. Like if it overflows or something happens.
Yeah, people have to maintain their septic, their aerobic systems with chlorine tablets and things like that. And some companies you have to have a contract. It's a requirement by the county to have a contract on your septic system. And some companies do a good job, and some companies don't. And as mayor, I would get calls of people saying, "Hey, I smell something from an aerobic system," and some companies they don't even get out of the truck, and it's just more of a formality, and it's a mandate through the county that you have to have a contract on your aerobic system.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting stuff. So to change gears a little bit and look at what you're running for now, for the Commissioner's Court, Precinct 2, what would you say is the primary or single biggest reason that you are running?
Charles,
what pushed you into it, I guess?
Well, we have, I guess some of my main issues that I'm looking at is number one is our property tax.
Okay.
There's been claims of lowering property taxes, but in reality, what's going on is they're either staying, the tax rate is either staying flat, or there may be a slight increase. Like this past year, it was 0.0015. But with the inflation of our property values, there's virtually no one gets a tax reduction in their property taxes. So that's one of the things. Primarily on one of the primary parts on my list is to get this tax rate down low enough to keep at least the people's property taxes flat. The county will still grow as far as what their revenues are, but that's going to be more focused on new property coming into the tax revenue stream.
Okay.
And I know when I was mayor in Kurten, I reduced the property tax rate by 34% in 10 years.
Oh wow!
And so that's a significant deal. And at the same time, we increased our what we have available to us, like from 10,000 to about 120,000, our reserve account. So, and that's done by watching what you spend.
Yeah.
And so because of those things, we were able to lower that tax rate. So it can be done at the county level, and I think it needs to be done. From talking to people, walking the streets, this is a big problem for a lot of people.
So I think what you're talking about then is a primary focus of you would be significantly lowering the tax rate, or comparatively.
Yes.
Okay.
When I in the city of Kurten, when I came on board, I believe the tax rate was around 0.156 per hundred, and when I left, it was below. It was right around 0.10.
Oh wow!
So a significant amount, enough to make a difference for people.
Okay. And you still think there's enough to cut within the budget of the county to afford that kind of hit?
Yeah. Well, again, I don't think if you look at the budget and the budget can continue to grow, but not on the backs of existing property owners. As a new home or a new building or business comes online, that becomes part of that tax roll, and that's what feeds your growth, not continuously hitting the people that are have been there for 15 years and nothing's really changed. The only thing that's changed is this illusion of this property value getting higher.
Yeah.
But there's no more services that are being offered to that individual, that property owner.
Right.
So that's where I think we need to focus on is the growth of the budget would be focused more on new growth, not hitting on existing people, because it's as everybody knows, they're getting hit from a lot of areas, from the school district taxes to federal government. I mean, how much more can we take of that?
Yeah, and one thing that we have found interesting, this podcast is really sponsored by Habitat for Humanity. I work there. Anyone who works on this team does. And one of the things we noticed recently, we built our first Habitat home outside of the city limits, so within solely the jurisdiction of the county. And to build out there, the fees to build were so much smaller than within the cities,
right.
Either one of them. Is that another way that you could figure out how to fill the budget and I guess deal with this issue you're talking about, where you're needing to cut things and reduce the rate?
Well, governments have a way of disguising taxes, and one of those is calling them fees. So I'm not a proponent of making a bunch of new fees. In a situation for Habitat for Humanity, I mean, that's going to be a new property online that's going to probably increase the value of what that property was before.
Sure.
And there will be some tax revenue from that. I'm not a proponent of starting to create a bunch of fees, because in reality that's a tax. It's more money out of your pocket that the government's going to spend.
True. Yeah, that's interesting. Another big issue facing the county, and we can circle back to these things we've already discussed a little later if you want to, is I-14. You know, if I understand it right, county commissioners oversee county roads and bridges, but they don't have, do they have any input into where this new interstate will go? And as it is right now, where are they predicting it going?
So yeah, there's a 2050 plan that's out there, and the answer to your question is, do we have? The county does not have jurisdiction of where that's going to go.
Sure.
But I do believe we have the ability to help influence, and that's part of what another reason why I'm running is because I've publicly stated, and in fact, it's not I work at Texas A&M, so if I become the next county commissioner, I will be forced to retire. It's not a matter of will I retire. But this is where I think I differentiate myself from my opponents. Is I will be 100% dedicated to being county commissioner. I have no other financial or business interest in any way, and so this is where a county commissioner can spend time with the federal government, talking to them about, hey, how is this going to work? Because it takes a lot of time. I did it as a private citizen. I did it as mayor, and it takes time to again, going back to the project management aspect, to kind of work with the other people to get some things done. I-14 is on my bullet list of an issue.
Okay.
Currently, the way it's planned to go right now, 27 miles of I-14 is going to be in Precinct 2 alone.
Wow.
And I just calculated, I overlaid the map, and I just calculated a 4-mile strip of that, and they're going to would have to tear down 33 homes to facilitate that freeway going with where it's planned right now, and that's called eminent domain, of which I am also totally opposed to.
Okay. There
are ways that it can be. I am not opposed to I-14 coming to our community. I think it will be a economic advantage to us, but we don't have an interstate. We're the largest city in Texas that does not have an interstate running through there. So that's going to be good, but it has to be done correctly, and certainly it shouldn't. Again, I only calculated 4 miles of 33 homes. There's going to be more, and we're going through some rural property that are currently farms that are helping, support our economy.
Sure.
And so I just, and it can also help increase urban sprawl, which it should be a concern to all of us, because if we keep taking farmland away from that inventory, West Texas doesn't grow a lot of stuff. So
right.
This is a very fertile area, and so we need to protect that. And again, I'm not against I-14, but there's certainly some places that I've looked at that it can be placed and still be effective for the community.
So we've heard about two major issues that you're concerned about. The first is property taxes, figuring out how to make those not so impactful. Second one, I-14 and how that's managed. Do you have any other, I guess you could call priorities?
The growth in the county is exploding, and what concerns me as I go out and talk to these people that are especially these new neighborhoods. A lot of them are 1 and 2 street neighborhoods. Is who's gonna pay for their roads when they need repair? And this is a huge issue because roads are very expensive to keep maintained.
Sure.
In the city of Kurten, that was our biggest expense. That's what we looked at the most, is how can we keep these roads? And we didn't have that many roads. Brazos County has a lot of roads, and they're paved. A lot of them are paved, not all of them. And I know I have an opponent that wants to pave every road in Brazos County. One, I don't think it's necessary. Two, I don't think we have the money to do something like that. This growth in the county it needs to be. Of course, it's going to happen. We're growing, and people are wanting to move out of the urban area of Bryan and College Station out into the country. But there are a lot of things that go with that. Again, we don't have a sewage facility plants. We are pretty good on when it comes to fresh water. There's a company out there, Wixon Creek Utility District, that's kind of works very well with the county. And then, of course, infrastructure itself. We have some major roads in Brazos County roads that I don't think are to what they need to be. One of them is being over-reliant. It runs through the heart of Precinct 2. It's not in the shape, but I don't think it should be. That should be a priority. Some of these other roads may not be as much, because they're just not as much traveled. So,
Sure.
you have to decide, look, where's the most important, how can we get most bang for our buck on something like this?
So you also have a background in, I guess you would call it accident prevention regarding Highway 6. I think there was a project you were working on. I was curious to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. When I was in 1999, we had moved up from Houston in 1997, and there was a stretch of highway between South College Station and Navasota that was a 4-lane undivided highway.
Oh, okay.
And I had been there'd been a lot of accidents there, and traveling back and forth to see my parents in Houston, I would get caught in these accidents. And then one Sunday, specifically on Easter Sunday, I actually witnessed an accident that was something that it changed, kind of changed my DNA when it came to what is going on here, because I saw this terrible accident. And so I started kind of investigating, like, what's going on here, and when's something going to get improved. So I started digging into it, and found that the road was not planned to be improved until about 2015. This was now around the year 2000.
Okay.
So I thought that was just seemed a little odd to me, that as much traffic that is. Game days for A&M.
Yeah.
A lot of students come from that part of Texas up to A&M. So I just started investigating, and found out there was about 24 people had died in that previous 10 years, or maybe even shorter than that. And I thought, what's going on? So I talked with TxDOT, and they confirmed that the highway's not going to be built until about 2015. So I just simply put out a website. It was called Highway 6 Kills. And I called KBTX and called the Eagle, and they came out and kind of interviewed me.
Yeah.
And this movement really started to build. It was covered out of a station in Houston, and so there was a lot of pressure got put on politicians, and virtually then down to the TxDOT. Anyway, they decided to expedite that highway. And it was completed, I think, in 2008.
That's awesome. So does TxDOT not like you anymore?
Well, they asked me what was in it for me, and there wasn't anything in it for me other than, I wanted to see it was a highly used highway, and a lot of people had been killed on it.
Yeah.
And if you on my website, votevitulli.com, I had a compilation of news stories. And there's a lot of tragedy. There are people that die. There are a lot of white crosses along that stretch of the highway, and it's just that's kind of another reason why I'm running. Is I'm trying to be a public servant. It's just it's something that my parents instilled in me, and it's something I believe that we have to give back to the community. We just can't keep taking. We have to give back.
Okay. So are there any hot spots as far as accidents that the county has jurisdiction over that you're looking at should you be elected?
I haven't heard of anything that county-wise. Now there is certainly 1179 is another major thoroughfare that goes through. Again, that's a state road.
Yeah.
But this is where if a normal old Joe citizen like myself was able to help facilitate that, I can only, as a county commissioner or anyone, if they can get that support, then I think things can get done quicker.
Okay.
So if I'm elected county commissioner, 1179 is going to be one of my priorities as far as roads, even though it's not a county road. But you have to again spend that time talking with TxDOT and talking with our state local representatives to help push that forward.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the job of a county commissioner. That's why it takes a full-time county commissioner that's going to spend that kind of hours doing it.
So being affiliated with Habitat, and we're an affordable housing provider, obviously I want to hear a little bit about some thoughts on more affordable housing types, whether it's rental or ownership. Is there a place in the rural county specifically where that's appropriate? Or, as you said earlier, do you feel that, because obviously whatever affordable housing would have to be more dense. Is there a place in the county for affordable housing?
Well, I think there is. Here's my take on this a little bit is living in the county is not always affordable.
Right.
There are infrastructure costs that are people that live in the city they don't think about. An example is you have to have an aerobic system. Well, aerobic systems today typically run about $7,500 per home. So that's before you even lay a slab or do anything. So that's an issue. That can be an issue compared to what a more of an urban or city environment. Right. There you may have a hookup fee or something like that, but not. And then you have to also you have an annual this annual contract you have to have for inspections.
Okay.
And that's another $200 to $300 a year.
Right.
So and then of course you got the whole infrastructure. The county typically they're kind of shying away when they build new neighborhoods. The take, from what I understand, has been, hey, y'all going to have to pay for that road. The county is not obligated to take over a road from a neighborhood. Oh, it's not an obligation. It's something that they grant. Well, the stance has been here of late, more so, is you build a neighborhood, the developer, and it's going to be your road. Well, like I said, roads are very expensive to maintain. Most of them are all asphalt roads, and they have to be maintained. Because if they're not maintained, they'll disintegrate and go back to gravel. Is what's going to happen. So that's an expense.
Yeah.
So how would a dense area that we're trying to build affordable housing, if you're in an environment that's not overly affordable to live in? I'm certainly not opposed to having that. I personally think that that affordable housing is more conducive to more of an urban area where you have transportation. You have your people are closer to their work environment instead of living out and having to travel 15, 20 miles or so. So that's the way I see it. I certainly wouldn't have any objection to that. These people are our neighbors that live in these homes, and they deserve the same thing that we have the opportunity to have. It's just that can we still maintain it, and can it still be affordable? And I think that's the question.
Yeah. And so we keep referring to the county. Really what we've been talking a lot about is the rural parts of the county, but obviously Precinct 2 and the rest of the precincts have an urban part of it. You mentioned about the cities. In talking about affordable housing as an example, what are some things, if what you're saying turns out to be an issue, which I think most people would agree, as far as how much it costs to live out there. Are there things that the cities could be doing to help kind of take the pressure off of these more expensive rural areas? Because I think you and I would both agree that, especially in the ETJ, there's a lot of growth going on out, a lot of building,
right.
That's putting a lot of pressure on that.
Yep. Yeah. So on the ETJ, the thing about ETJ is a kind of people don't understand. There's a radius around all cities. In Bryan and College Station, I believe it's 3 miles, and it's like in the city of Kurten, it's a half a mile. So it's this weird zone that the city really doesn't have much authority over. The only thing they really have authority over is the subdivision ordinance part of it. But other than that, it's kind of willy-nilly out, just like it is out in the county. So I think that the city, when it comes to outside their city limits and in their ETJ, they don't have much say-so over things like that. Now there's an area that is going to be of deep concern to a lot of people in Brazos County, and it's called mud districts that are coming up. Now that is a concern and that should be a concern for affordable housing, because most of these are done in the ETJs of cities. And just a quick deal, cities can only annex, Bryan and College can only annex into their ETJ. They can't go past that. So if the ETJ for Bryan and College Station 3 miles, they can only annex 3 miles out. And then their ETJ expands.
Yeah.
But the part where the ETJ, these mud districts that are coming in, most of them are going to be in the ETJ of cities. But since they're not in the city yet, they have to be signed off. The roads have to be signed off by the county. But the taxes that to retire these bonds, that in my opinion, developers are the ones that are making the money. The tax rates are huge. Right now we have 2 of them in Brazos County, and their tax rates are $1 per 100, which is higher than both the city of College Station and the city of Bryan. And these, again, coming from Harris County, these never go away.
Yeah.
And unless the city annexes that property.
Got it.
So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah.
But there's certainly in the ETJ there's some issues there.
Okay. Got it. Well, with the couple of minutes we have left, is there anything that we missed, or anything that you would like to tell the listeners, watchers, and how can they get in touch with you if they want to help you or learn more about what you do?
I appreciate it. So my campaign is kind of a grassroots. I'm trying to do word of mouth. I don't haven't spent a lot of money on my campaign yet.
Sure.
I've been walking door to door and talking to people, and I think that's the way to get to know what's bothering them. What do they need from their government? But I'm kind of a less government kind of guy. We obviously have to have government to run our streets and stuff. But my take is less. If we give our more money to the government, that's less money for us to do what we need to do with our families. So that's kind of my baseline there. Okay. But and then the other thing I mentioned is this growth. We've got to be on top of that as the county, because there are things. The developers can be kind of tricky, and when people buy homes, they might not know everything that's going to go on with this. They just see a street there, and they have no idea of what's going to happen with that street. And talking with these people, walking, they're saying, Mr. Vitulli, I got a street out there, and they're telling me that the county won't take it, and we pay $100 a year for our homeowners association fees. What are we going to be able to do? And I hate to tell them, but $100 on 50 homes is not going to pay for road maintenance. So I think, again, as a county commissioner, I think we need to be involved more with these developments and make sure that people are aware of what they're getting into when they buy it in the country, because a lot of people just don't know.
Well, Mr. Vitulli, it's been a pleasure. We really enjoyed having you on Think Brazos, and hope we can do this again.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I encourage people to go to votevitulli.com.